In terms of my own decisions, I will not be running in the upcoming election. As to what I might be doing later, I honestly haven't had much time to think about that at all.
Well, we got ourselves some more breaking news. It turns out that Justin Trudeau not only resigned as prime minister, or intends to resign as prime minister and leader of the Liberal Party, but today he officially announced that he's not running for re-election, which is phenomenal, right? I mean, we're not ever going to see Justin Trudeau ever in the spotlight in a government position. If he ever is in politics down the road, which I highly doubt, it would be in the private sector. And let's be honest, his reputation is going to follow him and carry into the future. And so we're done. That's it. We're not ever going to see Justin Trudeau. But what he's left us with is an absolute mess. And what we're taking a look at today is Canadian politicians going insane. You have disagreements from coast to coast to coast on how to approach these tariffs by America. We're less than 5 days away. We're 4.5 days, technically. We're just about 4 days away from 25% tariffs being slapped on Canada. And you have disagreements from politicians, including Justin Trudeau, on how to handle it. Some are saying, let's just focus on fixing our border and fixing Canada, and others saying we're going to ruin America by stopping oil and gas. So yeah, that's not good. We're taking a look at all of that in this video. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage you all to hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. It does really help grow the channel. Check to see if you are still subscribed, because sometimes YouTube does this weird thing where they unsubscribe people against their will, and haha, classic YouTube. And without further ado, let's get right into it. Starting things off with this right here. You got two photos. One is Photoshop. The other one is not. Obviously, it doesn't look like it, at least, but it could very well be. We got Doug Ford wearing a hat saying Canada is not for sale. And he has been the front runner in trying to basically ruin the Canadian economy by going into a full-blown trade war with America. And just to prove my point on just how far apart people are on retaliatory tariffs, or if there should even be any, listen to what this premier had to say.
Where are you on oil and gas exports from your province being used should we come to a trade war with the United States? Where are you on oil and gas exports?
Well, I've said all along, we need to be very united and very strategic in how, and very proportional in how we respond to any tariffs from the United States. I see energy as Canada's queen in this game of chess. We don't need to expose our queen too early. The opposition does need to know that the queen exists, but they don't need to know what we're going to do with the queen. So let's see what the tariffs actually are first, and have a proportional, but let me be very clear, a strong response to the United States. We need to, in no way, shape, or form, let the urgency of this economic and fiscal crisis jeopardize our national identity, nor our national unity.
Thank you.
And that's kind of interesting and also hypocritical, because Canada's oil is supposed to be the dirty oil, which is why we go to Saudi. But hey, that's just using liberal words against things that are now being said. But that's one premier's voice. Now let's take a look here at another. We're going to take a look at a few different people's voices on what they think should be appropriate responses.
I think it's an important point, right? And I think that's why Canadians are tuned into this, because they are worried about what the potential impact of this is, whether you live in Saskatchewan or you live in Quebec or you live in Ontario. And I think going into this meeting, we heard different postures for certain, involving yourself, for example, and Premier Ford, about what happens with energy, which is such an important export to the United States in many different forms. But the prospect, for example, of blocking exports or adding a tax to, you have been very opposed to. Has your position changed at all through this meeting?
No, and I think that's why it's important for us to keep things in the order that they have to occur. Whether it's a countervail or specific tariffs down the way, that is a conversation for a later date. Today we don't even have any tariffs on Canadian goods going into the U.S. And so today, and I would say ongoing, is one of the greatest power powerful pieces that we've had is for us to engage as leaders throughout the U.S. You're seeing that happen at the subnational level. You're seeing, I think, that happen at the national level as well. We're going to have differences between provincial premiers. Goodness knows that, likely myself as the leader of the government in Saskatchewan has had, pretty significant differences, likely as large as any, with a number of policy decisions that have come out of the national government over the last 8 or 9 years. That doesn't mean that we don't work together where we can, in particular when it's in the best interest of all Canadians. And that time is now. And the job, and I would say the paramount, most important job that we have to do as leaders is to engage to ensure that everyone is aware of the advantage we have across North America when that integrated economy is growing across the 49th parallel. It works for Canadians, and it's beneficial for Canadians, and it's beneficial for Americans as well. And what's happening, and if the tariffs do come to fruition, it is going to be all North Americans that feel it, but largely it's going to be Americans that feel it the largest. Do
I take from what you just said, though, that the prospect of blocking energy or export taxes was not even discussed today?
Listen, I'm not going to go into all of the details of the room, but I'd say it's a very open room with respect to what is discussed, what isn't discussed. And I would hope, and I think you'll see in the press conference, that there very much is an effort by everyone in the room to ensure that we are doing what we can do, that is representing Canadians in a very positive way, in attaining what works for us as being part of this continent of North America as well. I often speak about North American energy security, manufacturing security, and food security. That doesn't come about by imposing tariffs on one another. It comes about by working together and adding value to the products that we have.
But the logic of that, with all due respect, has failed to convince President Trump otherwise. But not even close. Instead, we presented a border plan, for example, to allay concerns when we thought this was about the border, and the rhetoric has just become even more inflamed. Do you think there's any possibility that the president doesn't levy tariffs in some form or another? Because he hasn't indicated that.
And he's not even president yet. As you say, he's president-elect. This is not, although this may be broader and larger, this is not for the first time that we have faced whether it be tariff or non-tariff challenges with not only the U.S. but other countries around the world. And we've been side by side. It is so much more pronounced, and it's larger and it's broader, and that's why our engagement and our effort and how we got through the other challenges that we had, which admittedly were smaller portions of the economy, was by ensuring that everyone realized the impact that those tariffs were having on not only the folks that are involved in that portion of our economy, but more broadly what it was having on our North American economy.
It's also possible, people are forgetting, it's also possible that this is just an anchoring strategy that Trump has used his entire political career and his entire business career, where on the scale of 1 to 10 for ridiculousness, he throws something out there that's a 10 in ridiculous, like not necessarily adding tariffs to Canada, but acquiring or buying in Canada, right? And then what he ends up proposing, or what ends up being negotiated later on the scale of ridiculousness, is a 2 or a 3. So when you look at the contrast of what was initially said to what ends up happening, it's a massive difference. And then whoever's on the receiving end of that feels like a winner, when that was Trump's plan all along. And this could very well be one of those situations where we don't experience any tariffs, and it just kind of gets the buck gets keep getting passed further and further and further down the road until Canada fixes the border, until Canada fixes immigration. Already you have Trudeau and you have the Liberals that have said that they're doing a 180 on immigration. So things are working in the way that Trump wants them to work, but never mind for the benefit of Trump in America, for us, for you and me, for Canadians. This is good that this has been happening. What's not good, in my opinion, is the approach that Canadian politicians have been having, going, oh, well, we're going to fight back twice as hard. Give me a break. Come on. Our economy and our country is tiny compared to America. And if America had that same mentality, we would literally get invaded and there would be nothing we can do about it, because our army is an army of tax agents with the CRA. But hey, let's take a look at what else Vashi did here, where she sat down with somebody and discussed these tariffs.
I did want to start off because I think Canadians are genuinely worried about the prospect of these tariffs on your feeling a few days out from inauguration of whether or not they are coming. Do you know one way or the other?
We don't know. We don't know. I wish I could say we did. I wish I could say that all the efforts that we and premiers and our businesses have all put into this has left us with an assurance. We've done some really great things on the border, which is what the incoming administration asked of us. And they've given us very good feedback on that. And I know that that plan has been presented to the president. But we have not received an assurance. So we're going to have to wait and see. There's a lot of talk in Washington. It's a place full of talk about what this could be, how it could be formulated, whether it is 25% tariffs across the border or something else. And you know what I would say to Canadians? We just need to try and not jump the gun, not get over our skis, as they say. Let's see what happens. Let's respond in a unified and firm way, not escalate, but be strong.
We may not have received an assurance, but I would imagine you've had dozens, if not more,
Yes.
conversations with people who are in and around Donald Trump and even, tangentially sort of exposed to his
Yes.
thinking on this. Is this, in your view, now a number of weeks later, about the border, or is it about his desire to raise revenue or something like that? Like, do you know why he wants to do this?
He likes tariffs as a policy tool. Okay, I think we have to start there. The incoming president thinks that tariffs are an important policy tool for raising revenue, and he has some tax cuts that he plans and has promised to the American people. And he has linked those two policies quite explicitly. He has also expressed that they are a tool for leverage against other countries. And he feels that they also serve to deal with what he sees as sometimes inequities between the United States and Canada. He has a very specific view around balance of trade, which is not a view that we share as a country or many other partners do. So it's hard to say exactly what the motivation is. My guess is it's a little bit all of the above. And so Canada's job right now, and we talked about this in the meeting, and this is something we've been doing for months and will continue to do if required after Monday, is to change sort of the risk-benefit calculation for the president, to say that the policy tool that he thinks is going to help him garner revenues is actually going to cost Americans a lot of money. It's actually going to hit to their economy, and kind of go through each one of his potential motivations, but also focus on the border. They said it's about the border. We have taken really strong action on the border. I know that the border measures that we took were discussed among the Republican senators during our meeting with the president. So that is a good thing, and they're quite happy. The border senators have told me, look, this looks good. So, I mean, I'm sure there's still conversations to have, but there's a lot going on. And I think for Canadians, I understand the worry, and it's a very complicated time. It's a difficult time. We just need to take it one step at a time.
And I don't think preparing for a full-blown trade war with America is the right or even proportional answer to what's going on. But hey, that's my opinion, folks. I would love to know yours. And then we got to take a look here at Jagmeet Singh, who posted this on X. He posted, Poilievre is a billionaire bootlicker. He refuses to act on Trump's tariff threats that will hurt Canadian workers. Why? Because he'll never stand up to billionaires, including Elon Musk and Donald Trump. And at the time of this recording, his post has 526 likes. And I replied to his comment about Poilievre being a billionaire bootlicker, you are a Trudeau ass licker. And I have more likes on my comment than he has on his original post. So I believe that's called ratioing or whatever the hell it is over on X. And I just thought that was pretty funny, and I'd like to share that with you guys. And now we're taking a look at Justin Trudeau, who reiterates that cutting off Alberta energy exports to the U.S. is a possibility and says that the country's premier should stand united behind Canada. Let's take a look.
We had an excellent conversation today from around the table with passionate Canadians who are proud to represent very different regions of the country, but who are all united on one thing, which is we will stand up for Canada. We will protect Canadians. We will make sure that we are there to show what this country is made of. At the same time, we've also agreed that no one region of the country should disproportionately bear the burden of standing up for all other Canadians. We have made it very clear that everything is on the table as potential responses, but we've also been very, very clear that it has to be fair across the country. If the American administration moves forward with its plans on tariffs, it will first and foremost hurt American citizens and American consumers, but it'll also hurt Canadians. And Canadians need to stand together to make sure we're there for each other, particularly those who may be carrying a heavier load than others. Because,
I mean, this guy, as his final act to Canada, he prorogues. It's so funny. In hindsight, looking back at that video, he's like, just so everybody knows, I'm not a quitter. I want everybody to know also that I am announcing that I am quitting. I mean, dude, you are screwing us over. We have no leadership. We have absolutely no leadership right now. Justin Trudeau is not being taken seriously by other countries, certainly not being taken seriously by Donald Trump. We have nobody leading us, and we're, again, 4 days away from potentially being taxed 25% by America. But to wrap up this video here, we do have this clip of Justin Trudeau saying that he will not be seeking re-election in his riding. So it's official. Justin Trudeau is actually done.
in terms of my own decisions, I will not be running in the upcoming election. As to what I might be doing later, I honestly haven't had much time to think about that at all. I am entirely focused on doing the job that Canadians elected me to do in an extraordinarily pivotal time right now. The U.S. inauguration and the weeks that follow are something that is of deep, deep importance to Canadians, and we are entirely focused on that as a team.
No one's buying it, buddy. Nobody wants you doing these negotiations. You aren't the right person for the job. And that's ultimately why you chose to resign or commit to resigning. He should have left politics, I mean, a long time ago, but if there was ever an actual appropriate time for him to leave, it's when his wife left him. That would have been, I mean, not too long ago, within the past year, I believe. At that time, Canada was still very angry with Justin Trudeau. His polling was quite similar to where it is now. And in hindsight, I mean, that would have been great. We would have been under new leadership. Poilievre would have been dealing with negotiations right now with President-elect Trump, soon to be president in 4 days. And we wouldn't necessarily be in this massive of a mess, but we'd still be a little bit panicky, but significantly less than where we are now. But that is going to wrap up this video. I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments. Do you think that we are going to get taxed with those tariffs, or do you think that it's just some sort of bluff? Let me know what you guys think. And of course, on your way out, if you haven't yet already, I'd like to encourage you guys one last time to hit the like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.